In this video, I'll be breaking down what most teachers get wrong starting their own business. So if you're a teacher who wants to break out the classroom, take off the handcuffs, and have your own business where you're in charge of your income, your impact, and your schedule, this is for you. After working with over 3,000 teachers, helping them build their own online businesses, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I've seen most teachers get wrong. We'll first start looking at what business you should launch and build if you're a teacher today, and also what mistakes to avoid. So when it comes to starting your own business as a teacher, you know exactly what to do and what not to do. So let's jump in. Okay, so if you're a teacher wanting to start your own business so you can start teaching on your own terms, let's first look at what business you should start. There's a ton of businesses you could do. You could do some drop shipping. You could sell teaching resources online. You could even become a supply teacher or a contractor. You could even do day trading. You could do real estate. All of those businesses could be viable. But the biggest mistake that most teachers are getting wrong is choosing the right business avenue and the right business to start. I mean, think about it. As a teacher, you spend a lot of time gaining a degree, right? To be able to teach and do something you're passionate about. So you've actually already got skills that you could use. And plus, we're living in a day right now where there's this window of opportunity for teachers, and I call this the online tutoring gold rush. And so the first thing you should be looking to do as a teacher in 2025 and 2026 is use your skills to do something you're already good at and just use them in a different way, your teaching skills and expertise. So if you check out my screen right now, my computer just here, you can see the online tutoring gold rush, right? So here you go. Between the global online tutoring market, 2024 to 2028 is going to grow by about like 318 billion. Okay. These are some stats I pulled online. Now, so just imagine how crazy it is if you're a teacher who's thinking about completely leaving the teaching profession when you're sitting on this gold mine. And sure, like income is great, but at the same time, you're actually getting to still impact students and actually use your skills just in a different way, a new way to teach online. And if we think about how much the online tutoring space has evolved since the pandemic in just a 5-year period, just imagine what it's going to be like in the next 10 years. So Bill Gates, famous for quoting, most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in a decade. So many teachers are sitting on this business opportunity and just not tapping into it and not taking advantage of it. Other teachers are seeing this opportunity and they're trying to start their businesses online, but they're just getting it completely wrong, making a ton of mistakes. And look, after working with over 3,000 teachers over the past 5 years, I've seen exactly what those mistakes are and what most teachers get wrong. So in this video, now I've showed you the opportunity and business avenue that you should be taking, the online tutor gold rush. I'll walk you through what most teachers get wrong so you don't have to make those same mistakes, okay? Now, again, if you're watching this, it's one of your first videos you've been watching. My name is Elliot Phillips, former PE teacher. I'm a best-selling author of my book, Teaching on Your Own Terms. There'll be a copy down in the links down below this video if you want to pick up a copy that breaks down exactly how we've helped thousands of teachers here at the Teacher Project build their dream online tutoring businesses. So the business is online tutoring. Now, this is not, by the way, working for an agency and just registering as a tutor online. That's a job, right? A job where you're not in charge of anything. The students that you teach, okay, the income or the rate that you can charge, you've just got zero control, zero predictability. That's not a business. It's a job, right? You're just a contractor. It's like a laborer, like an electrician or someone who's doing the plumbing or whatever, or the brickwork at a house. You know, they send the laborers to go and do all the dirty work. And that's essentially what becoming a tutor online is when you're just registering your services online. I'm talking about building a business that gives you the fulfillment, the freedom, and the income that you deserve. So here's what most teachers get wrong first. Now, the first thing is not niching down, okay? Now, the reason why this is a problem is because a lot of teachers see themselves and they see this avenue, this opportunity of online tutoring, and it seems pretty easy, right? Like to go online, hey, I can do some tutoring and whatever. You take a few students on here and there. And the reason why that's a problem is because you end up taking on, let's say, primary or an elementary school teacher, right? Of sure, I can teach reading. Now, what I would then do, I'd take my expertise online and say to my friends, wider network, hey, I'm looking to do some tutoring. So you end up pulling in a student who's got this ability, that ability, student who's this age, who's that age. And so what ends up happening is you pull in a few different students, and because you just said you were a tutor, you didn't specialize, you didn't niche down, you end up just charging low hourly rates, for one, which I'm going to touch on in a bit towards the end of this video, and why that's a big no-no. Plus, you end up just pulling in so many different students that you can't group them as well. Okay, so you end up getting the business model wrong right from the beginning, and you end up building a glorified job, right? Just a side hustle. Okay, a side hustle is just you earning some extra cash, right? And so at that point, most teachers then are never able to build a business because they've got a side gig and it's just not enough income, and the model is completely wrong to actually get out the classroom. So they end up juggling it alongside their classroom job, just, like struggling to pay the bills and never really growing anything successful. Okay, so the key first is to niche down. You probably heard the saying, the riches are in the niches, right? And so when it comes to niching down, there's a few things you want to think about. One, identify the subject that you want to teach in, particularly if you're starting off. Now, the only time, quick caveat, the only time that you can kind of get away with this is if you've got other teachers and tutors who are working with you already. You might be able to serve multiple subjects, okay? But I'll tell you what's important if that is the case, okay? But for the majority of teachers to build a business, an online tutoring business, you need to niche down to one specific subject. Then once you've nailed that, the next thing is which student within that subject. Okay, so think about the age and the ability level, because sometimes age might not be a thing, right? You might just be able to group based on ability, okay? So get really clear on who the student is, because there's going to be, if you can get in the same age group, you're going to be able to group that age group specifically if they're the same, similar ability level as well, right? And so now you've got the subject, the student. Now you need what result, okay, are you going to help these students achieve? This is where it really helps you to niche down and attract students, but most importantly, stand out, right? And so if you think about, you've probably seen on your news feeds and, unless you've been living under a rock, on social media, on your news feeds, social media groups, people are posting, hey, I'm a tutor, or you've seen all these flyers. And it's just very general, like maths tutoring or science tutoring or English tutoring, help your child boost their English skills. Just so general. And so you want to think about what result you're going to help your students achieve, because that's what people pay for, right? They want results. And if you then market a specific result, or you can really decide what you're going to help your students do, you've got an end outcome for one, but it's more appealing to your potential dream customers. So for example, the result I might help my students achieve might be to read above grade level or jump 2 reading grades in a matter of time, say 12 weeks or whatever at school, or read on top level, read at grade level, in case my offer was to, and the niche that I wanted to help and serve was struggling readers. Well, those students who are struggling, they're not reading at grade level yet. So what their parents are looking for and what that student wants and needs to be able to do is to actually just catch up and close their learning gaps. So this is why it's very important, because that's going to dictate the type of student that you can actually attract. Okay, that you do attract, because if you don't market and you don't go general, hey, does your child need some help with reading? You could get a whole host of different students. And so you've got to niche down first so that you can actually later down the line command premium price points, build a scalable delivery model so you can bring the students in and teach them in groups. But most importantly, when you're getting started, actually stand out and attract students and appeal to people. Because if you think there's already people who've started this business model before you, well, if you just go online and blend in like another pebble on the beach, you're not going to get very far. And this is why a lot of tutors or teachers transitioning into online tutoring aren't able to actually get any clients, because they just haven't niched down. So this is where they end up going and registering on these kind of tutoring agency websites and just get given the students, right? So you've just got zero control. So this is the first thing. You've got to make sure that you niche down and identify your ideal student first. Guys, quick interrupt. I hope you're enjoying the video, but I wanted to make sure you picked up your copy of Teaching on Your Own Terms. It's my best-selling book, and it shares with you the exact 5 steps
what I've used with over 2,000 teachers at this point, helping them build their dream online teaching businesses. It went to bestseller in 7 categories. It's been featured by NASDAQ in Times Square, New York City. And I know you're going to love it. Inside of the book, you're going to learn things like how to position yourself as the go-to tutor in the marketplace and the offer that you can create to get your ideal students reaching out and how to communicate that. I'll share with you what I've seen as the best advertising strategies to get in front of new students and parents who want what you've got, how to sell your services, and everything you actually need to include in an online group tutoring business to make sure your students crush it and get great results. There's some free gifts and bonuses in there. I think in the first couple of pages, there's a link. You can go and grab some free gifts on me. But I know you're going to love it. Teaching on your own terms. I'll leave a link down below in the comments and go and pick up your copy today.
The second thing that most teachers get wrong is they kind of really panic. And I was listening this morning to a clip on YouTube that I was listening to. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was Alex Hormozy came on and said, like the biggest mistake that he sees people make is people wait for the perfect conditions in order to start something. But the perfect time to start something is now. And so I'm going to give you an example of what I mean here. I've seen a lot of teachers fail to get started with their businesses simply because they think they need to have like a big shiny curriculum built out. They need to have all of their lesson plans, all of their resources, but they don't have any students yet. And so what ends up happening is they never actually get started and actually start teaching students or acquiring students, right? So they spend a lot of time in this build mode. Now, if I was to think about a housing developer or someone who develops real estate, they don't go and build the houses first and then try and sell them, right? What they do is they create the showroom or the vision. They don't even do that a lot of the time. Sometimes they just create like a vision, like this day and age, they use AI to show what the housings or what the houses they're going to develop are going to look like. So they sell the vision, all right? And then they build as they go. They go through the sales process. That means that they've actually validated that people want it before they got to work. Because if they decided on this project, these housing developers, that, let's just do this, let's go and build it and then try and sell them. What if they spend all of that time doing that and building and all of the expenses and time that they'll actually never get back, which is, to be honest, way more expensive than money, right? Because money replenishes. Is the tool to move faster and exchange for things of more value, right? And so you can end up wasting a ton of time when you could actually just focus on getting your initial students in to validate that people want what you want to teach. And then once you've done that, you've kind of clarified that, yes, this is a viable business model for me. Now you can get to work and build. Right. And so I just see so many teachers wait for those perfect conditions until they've got all of their shiny resources, all of the curriculum built out that they want to provide to their students, but they don't even have any clients yet. It's kind of mad, but I completely get it, right? Teachers aren't business people. Back when I was a teacher, I didn't think like a business person, right? I thought like a teacher until I broke that way of thinking and hired mentors. Only then was I able to experience the growth and grow my own businesses online. And I experienced this, I made this mistake myself. Back when I left PE teaching, I went into personal training, right? And when I went into personal training, I then thought I'll make an online personal training business, right? And so what I ended up doing was building out all of this kind of exercise regime online, spent months and months and months, about 9 months filming, creating all the course content. And now I had it all. I thought I'm going to go and market it. And I went to market it and nobody wanted it. That just now collects dust and I never ended up doing anything with it. So I wasted 9 months of my life. And so when we work with our clients, teachers, helping them build their own online tutoring businesses, we literally just focus on getting students first and then building and teaching as you go. Because if you're a good teacher, you can teach the students, right? All your initial students want is for you to show up and actually help them, and that's going to be enough in the beginning. Okay. So this is definitely something I see a lot of teachers get wrong. That's preparing for clients you don't have. Okay. Don't do that. Don't build the house before you've got people to put in the house. Think like a business owner, like a real estate developer. Okay. Build your curriculums later. Okay. All right. And then the last one, and there's a few more, but these are the 3 main ones. The third one is the right business model and pricing. Okay. And so let me give you an example. Now, if I zoom in on the screen, and so I've got 2 examples here. Now, this is a teacher who wants to build an online tutoring business that decides to teach students one-on-one online, private tutoring. And the reason why this happens is because this is how the whole industry started, right? As, hey, my kid needs some help. If I'm a parent who, wants the best for my child, I'm going to get a one-on-one tutor to help them. And so in the early phases of the industry, when it was first kind of getting going, that's what it was, right? It was one-on-one tutoring. It was having a private tutor. And so many people are still conditioned that that's what the tutoring world is. The only issue with that for the teacher trying to transition online and make their own business, it's not really viable. And here's why. And so imagine you're a classroom teacher, right? Now, I haven't blocked this out on the calendar, but just imagine you are a classroom teacher. And here, let's just say on the Monday, you're at school the entire day. Now you're starting to teach students one-on-one, so you're doing some private tutoring on the side, and you now load in student 1, you can see here, at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on a Monday. Student 2, you'd put them in this slot, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so for you to get to a point where you've actually made, a business and you've matched your teaching salary, right? Because if you can't do that, then you obviously just got a side hustle, right? Like, what's the point in actually doing this if you can't replace your classroom salary? Because otherwise it's not a business. Right? And so the only way for you to do that would be to build something like this. Now, here's where that becomes a problem. Sure, some teachers might like doing this alongside of their classroom job, but then you don't actually have a life. All you do is teach, eat, sleep, repeat. Plus, you're bound by cancellations because you're teaching one-on-one. And so it's unpredictable. You don't know if students are going away, if you're going to have cancellations, plus you're capped on what you can charge per hour. So you're still putting a price tag on your time, right? You're trading time for money still. You've got a job, not a business. And so when you start to teach groups instead of one-on-one, if you look at this timetable here, very different. This now becomes extremely viable if I'm a teacher to build this alongside of my classroom job, because I can just place group 1, group 2, and have 5 to 10 students in the group on a Monday after school. And once I've done that and I've filled those 2 groups, I've validated I've actually got a business model, so I can start to cut down my teaching hours and spend more time on this, right? Plus it's scalable, and here's how. So with one-on-one lessons, the first example, or pay per lesson, if you don't charge effectively and you don't get your pricing right. So let's say you charge a modest $50 per lesson, or £50, whatever currency you're dealing in. Now, 20 sessions a week, 20 times 50, grand a week, right? Now, for some people, that might sound good. Okay, so 20 times 50 is a grand times 4, let's just say there's 4-ish weeks in a month, $4,000. That's about the average classroom salary. The only issue is you've got a job, right? Because now you're fully booked. You can't speak to more people. You've got unpredictability because you don't know when people are going to reschedule, cancel. Basically, your client's in charge. All right. You've got, if you lose someone, you've got to then go and find somebody else, but you still don't have time to speak to new people because all you're doing is teaching so many different students, and you've kind of just packed. You're not building a better work-life balance, right? You're just pouring it down the drain. But with the group pricing model, let's look at how this can work. So for example, you can start at 500 to $1,000 for 12 weeks, depending on your experience. You'd probably start on the lower end and then scale up as you got more results and your sales skills got better. But this is pretty common. Now, you can charge way more than that as well. But, I want to give you an example of what perhaps the average teacher would do. Okay. So I would recommend starting at a lower price point towards the $500 for 12 weeks. Okay. For group tutoring, where the students, you would have 5 probably in a group to begin with. Okay. And then once you've got some experience with that, you've got some testimonials, you've now started to build your curriculum because you've actually validated you've got students to teach, and you can even suggest that, hey, I'm offering at a lower price point because this is my first group of students. I am going to increase the rate down the line. And you can be honest about that with your first group of students. Okay. And so from there, if those students get 1 lesson a week over 12 weeks, 1 group class, that's about $40 per class, or £40. It's actually $41.66. Now with 5 students in a group, that's $200 a class, right? So you could, in essence, if we were to look at this group model, that could be 4 hours of your time if you did this one-on-one teaching and charging $50 an hour. But if you had 5 students just in one group, you can earn the same amount in just 1 hour. And obviously, the more and more groups you then build, that really becomes way more predictable and way more scalable for you. Okay. Plus, you're having way more impact. You're teaching more students in less time. Yeah. So if you think about, you had 2 groups, you're now earning 400. Okay. Well, in order to earn 400 with one-on-one, you would have to do, about 8 hours of tutoring, And then you can just imagine how that grows and scales as you go, as you build. So now let's say you fill 8 groups. That's like 1,600 a week, 6,400 a month, right? And you're only teaching 8 hours, as opposed to up here, you were teaching 20 hours to just earn $4,000. Okay. And so you can see how the math works out. Now, what you can then do from there, you can pull what I call scaling levers. Okay. So if you started at 5 students per class, you now just grow this to 10 students. Yeah. So you basically doubled your business immediately, just like that. And that does depend on a few nuances, the student, the age, the subject, all of those things. You could even just start to slowly increase your rate and take it from 500 to 750. Well, then you're earning an extra $100, more than $100 per class, right? You can then even just hire another tutor. Let's say that you decide that 8 hours is the maximum that you want to teach. We'll hire another tutor, duplicate the business. Obviously, the teacher that you hire isn't going to want to you're not going to give them the whole session amount. You probably give them 40% of what the session makes, something like that. Or even like 25 to 40% would be fine. Okay. And plus you're now helping somebody else. You're helping another teacher. You're just the business owner, right? This is how all businesses work, right? As they grow, they need to hire employees so you can have more impact. You can grow the business in terms of revenue, all with you working less. Okay. It's a legit business model. So that's really it. Now, these are literally the main things that I see teachers get wrong. But if you want to learn more about things like how you get the students, how you make sure your students crush it and get life-changing results in a group model, you're definitely going to want to check out my best-selling book, Teaching on Your Own Terms, where I break down the exact 5 steps to build your dream online tutoring business. Okay, so if you're a teacher right at the beginning of your career, this will help you. If you're a teacher who's already doing a little bit of tutoring online, but you want to grow it into a scalable business, this will help you. Even if you're a tutor who's already working with hundreds of students, you're going to learn a thing or two in here to increase your sales. Okay. So I'll leave a link in the comments down below. You can go and grab the book. If you like the video, obviously hit subscribe, hit like, and I'll see you in the next one.